Welcome to episode 9 of the Dish Up podcast, a Cheapies podcast production. My name is Kent. I'm the host. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter at Kent Hansen. Instagram at Kent Hansen81. The podcast, Dish Up Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Sorry, I keep on looking down. My notes are over here. Need to get like a fancy prompter, like a fancy person. It's been a couple weeks. It's a couple weeks before my last one to my last one, and a couple weeks from the last one to this one. I apologize again. Some of you guys might know. Started a new job. Started this past Monday. So there was, some wind down at the last job and then kick off with this job and starting earlier, done earlier. But I like to do most of this stuff late at night, kind of after everyone's settled down. But now I got to wake up at 5 in the morning to get to work. So that means I legit got to go to bed. So there's no dicking around after everyone goes to sleep late at night, which is unfortunate. But it's a holiday today up here. It's family day. So we played some board games, took the dog outside. It's cold. It's really cold, so we can go places. Actually, we can't. A kid in my son's class caught the COVID. So my kid has to self-isolate for 2 weeks. So he's been sitting at home playing viddies, playing with the dog, trying not to get bored out of his skull. He's actually done a lot of... He made chocolate chip cookies a couple times. What else he make? He made lunch today. It's just macaroni and cheese, but a couple times he made something. Trying to get him, not on the viddies all the time. Trying to get him to do some other stuff. But it's tough. It's cold. Can't go outside. Can't go to school, talk to your friends. So it's tough. You can talk to his friends on the video game. So it is what it is. So yeah. So just been busy. So here's another podcast for you. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully you don't quit listening after this one. What I do recently, let's just play some catch up. I bought a bunch of knives on the internet. Someone on Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, Craigslist, whatever. One of those. Had a whole bunch of kitchen stuff for sale for $5. I had 10 knives, peelers, stuff like that. So I was like, whatever. If I find one decent knife, that's worth $5. And so, a couple chef's knives, a couple paring knives, a boning knife. There's 3 knives. 3 knives out of the lot that are worth more than $5 on their own. So it was a net win. 2 wood handle Henkels, obviously been used, sharpened quite a bit. Profiles changed quite a bit since they were new, obviously, but not treated well handle-wise. Wood handles, but they're all just broken down, repeated use in the dishwasher. So I think that's going to be a project. I think we're going to make some custom wood handles for these knives. I hope. New shop at work. Huge woodworking shop. 3 different table saws, all sorts of stuff. So probably be able to make a couple decent wooden handles, replacement handles for these knives. What else I do? Just made a bunch of stuff. Nothing super fancy. Supper challenge this weekend was Chinese New Year. And it's more Thai, like spring rolls, fresh rolls, more Thai than Chinese. But it's what we had in the cupboard. So I made some fresh rolls and some spring rolls last night. They were delicious. They were good. Everyone liked them. But not Chinese New Year. I was going to make duck, but the wife said she didn't care for duck so much. I'm not blaming her. If you're listening to this, Alex, I'm not blaming you for not making duck. Just you didn't want it duck, so I didn't make duck. Yeah. Oh, I got to give a shout out to a very special listener, a coworker of mine. I have a Spotify family, ex-coworker actually from my old job. Family Spotify account. So I guess I don't know how it works. I don't have one, but they can kind of see other people's stuff. And so he was following the podcast, and his daughter found it on whatever, however she found it. And so he goes walking by, and he hears my voice. And he's like, "What are you listening to?" She's like, "Oh, I'm listening to this podcast. This guy, he knows stuff." He just started laughing. He's telling me the next day. Like, it's ridiculous. And I was like, that's neat. That's cool. So I'm going to give her a shout out. Shout out to Cadence. Cadence, 11-year-old. Cadence is, I believe, talking to her dad, I believe an aspiring baker. Cakes, cupcakes, stuff like that. She's got a wax piece of paper that she uses with different sized drawings on it. That's the size of a cupcake. That's the size of a cake. And she just practices icing. 11 years old, putting in the work. Putting in the work. So that's good to see. So shout out to Cadence for listening. Hope you enjoy the shout out. My tool of the week is a tool that would help you with your baking. Now, this tool of the week, this is the most expensive, most elaborate tool of the week. You know, mostly I've started with cutting boards, knives, thermometers, you know, stuff you can get for less than $20 each. This one's a stand mixer. Did some looking into it. We have a KitchenAid stand mixer. So looking into the history of stand mixers, and KitchenAid was kind of the inventor. But it wasn't called KitchenAid at the time. I believe it was the Hobart company. Hobart still makes like industrial kitchen stuff. Bakeries use them, huge mixers. But I believe they made the H5 was the first in-home commercial unit. It went on and went on, and it was an ugly thing. And then in the 50s, they redesigned it to that classic design we have now, with all the different colors, make it look cool. So we have one, and it's the best. If you're doing anything like that, it's the absolute best. Now, you don't have to get a KitchenAid one. KitchenAid, so we have the Pro Series with the bowl lift, so that's like $500. It's ridiculous. But once you spend the money, it's awesome. You can get a tilt head one for $300. It's just as good, I think. But if you're doing like heavy bread doughs, you might want the extra horsepower of the bigger engine of the bowl lift model. There are KitchenAid stand mixer people who are like chirping me right now. I'm not an expert. I just have one and I use one. But there's also other brands. You can get other brands for $100 if you're just doing, you know, basic kitchen stuff. And that's fine. We used to get every Christmas from my father-in-law and his wife a set of attachments. The thing about the KitchenAid is there's different attachment heads you can put on. So there's a drive motor. You put them in the front, and the motor that spins things in the bowl, mixes it, also can drive these attachments. Another thing, they're not cheap, they're pricey, but they're good. So we've got a juicer, slicer, grinder. So if I'm doing like small batch, 20 pounds making sausage, I'll use that. I'll use the grinder, grind up whatever deer or whatever I get to make it. Grind it up, and then you pop off the grinding disc and toss on a sausage stuffer, and you use the same machine to stuff your sausages with. It doesn't work the best. You can go and spend $700, the price of all that together, and get a dedicated grinder and stuffer that'll do a better job. But this also has the mixer. So, also have pasta. pasta rollers. So you can roll out thin pasta. I really like that one. Don't always use it just for pasta. We've made homemade crackers with it before. It's really good. It's really good attachment. But yeah, if you're serious about getting into kitchen stuff like that, baking, especially baking, that's what my son used to make chocolate chip cookies like 3 times in the last week. My wife used it last night to make banana bread. Some of you might have seen on Twitter. I use a shopping app, grocery delivery app, and you can pick item or weight when you're doing produce and stuff like that. So I seen bananas, and usually I say bananas, 5. And usually I get 5 bananas. This week I put in item 5, and I got 5 bunches of bananas. So I got 26 bananas. So my wife used actually, former guest, Janice from Smellicue, used Janice's banana bread recipe, which is excellent. Awesome recipe. Smellicue.com, I hope. Look up Janice Smella banana bread. It's a really good banana bread recipe. We're about halfway down the bananas. They're all turning brown, so they're all going to get turned into banana bread eventually. But yeah, my wife used it. Probably used it 4 or 5 times in the last week. Trying to think of anything else to use it for. But yeah, KitchenAid stand mixer. Stand mixers in general. I believe the base model. So you get it. You get a mixing paddle. So if you're doing whatever, pancake dough or something, pancake mix. It's also got a whisk. So say you're doing like meringues, somewhere you gotta whip eggs, whipped cream, stuff like that. And it's got a dough hook for, bread doughs and stuff like that, pizza doughs. And it works amazing. So yeah, that's my tool of the week. It's it's a sizable tool. It's a step out there, but it does make things quite a bit easier once you start using it. You'll hopefully be impressed by it. It's one of those things you pay for it once, you never have to pay for it again. There's not a whole lot of maintenance. It's one of those things where when you buy it, if you treat it right, which they're machines, if you treat it right, you'll give it to your grandchildren. Like, there's one part in there, I believe it's a nylon bushing or something like that. It's the part that makes it so your motor doesn't get fucked. Sorry, I'm trying not to swear. Now that I know I got 11-year-olds listening, I'm trying not to swear, but that was a swear. There's a nylon piece that's going to shear to save your motor. I think that's the only piece that's like a design failure. But it's a $5 piece compared to a $200 motor. So that's the purpose of that. And they come out and tell you, like, hey, this piece, if you're being a jackass, might shear. But don't be a jackass, it's not going to shear. See, that's my tool of the week. My mom has had a KitchenAid for as long as I can remember. Both my sisters have them. We got one. Mom's got like a special cabinet under one of her lower cabinets. Open the door, and it's on this table, and the table like lifts up, and it's perfect counter height. So yeah. Question and answer. I had a question on Twitter actually. Excuse me. Tonight, Cubs fan 3712, fellow Cheapie, asked any suggestions on how to use leftover ricotta cheese. And I said yes. 3 steps. Appetizer, supper, breakfast the next day. Appetizer. I think the first place I seen this was Una Pizza in Saskatoon here. Una Pizza, hands down, my favorite pizza in Saskatoon. They have these finishing oils. It's amazing. Back when you could still go sit in restaurants. Yeah, I guess you can now a little bit here, but me and my wife went out on a date to the Broadway Theater, and Una's like 2 doors away. So we went into Una, and you used to be able to sit right in front of the station where they make all the appetizers. And so you get to see everyone's appetizers being made. It's 2 feet away from you. It's a sneeze guard, but I'm sure in COVID times it's no bueno. But they make this ricotta and honey. So I don't know how they make it, but this is how I make it. Ricotta cheese, however much, so say it's 2 people, you use 4 ounces. You can use 8 ounce because you're going to mix it with cream cheese, and cream cheese comes in an 8 ounce block, but that's too much if it's 2 people. If you're having 6 people, good. So as much ricotta as you use, that's how much cream cheese you want to use. Now you're going to go back to your tool of the week, the KitchenAid mixer, whip it together. It's going to get that cheesecake-like creaminess to it. You can put that in a little ramekin serving bowl, something small. You don't want to put it in an 8x12 pan or anything like that. Drizzle it with liquid honey. Crush some nuts or something on there just for some texture difference. And then some good crackers. Some of those little toasts. Melba toast. Something like that. You spoon it out onto your toast and delicious. So that's your appetizer. Next, supper. You're going to use some of that in a lasagna. I'm not going to give you a recipe for that. Just Google ricotta lasagna. It's good. It adds creaminess to it. I like it. Unlike some people use cottage cheese. Not everyone loves cottage cheese. Not everyone loves ricotta cheese. But I find texturally more people are off-put by cottage cheese. Just the curds. Some people don't like that feeling. Just use ricotta. Adds a nice creaminess. I really like it. Next is breakfast. So you're going to make buttermilk pancakes. But you don't have buttermilk in your house. You have leftover ricotta. So you're going to mix some milk with ricotta. I believe this is right. It's a Kenji Lopez alt. It's from his Food Lab book. I should probably post it on the internet afterwards because I don't remember exactly what it is. But there's a conversion. He's got like 3 different ways to make buttermilk if you don't have buttermilk. And I believe one of them is with ricotta. I might be wrong. But use ricotta in pancakes. Make them nice, creamy. It's really good. So yeah, those are the 3 ways to use ricotta in appetizer, your supper, your breakfast the next day. What else we got? That's all I really had planned. What else do we got? What else is coming up? Just more winter up here in Canada. I've shared some pictures, but for our American friends, the one day it was minus 63 with the wind. Minus 51, I think, Celsius. It's cold. Man, it was cold. What did we cook? We cooked outside in it. Did some barbecuing. What did we make? Chicken wings. Made something else. Chicken wings and something else. Can't remember. On the Gateway drum. Gateway drum's hot and fast. Charcoal smoker, cooker, whatever. Borrowed one from Rob Reinhardt, Prairie Smoke and Spice. One of the best barbecue teams in Canada. They went to a bunch of, world championships down in the States and stuff like that. They went to Australia. I don't know if they've been to Europe. But yeah, Rob lent me a Gateway to play with over the winter. To be honest, I haven't played with it as much as I should have. But made chicken wings and something else. What did I make? It's a supper challenge last week. I don't remember what it was. It was probably good though. Whole chickens maybe. Chicken parts maybe? I don't remember. Ribs. It was ribs. I made ribs. So when I started barbecuing, 2007, 2008. Made, and by barbecue I mean like low and slow Southern style barbecue. Used to make ribs all the time. All the time. They're my favorite thing to cook. Now, for fun, I probably cook ribs twice a year. I don't know why. I do a lot more chicken. But ribs are great. Pork ribs. Oh, it was for the Super Bowl. That's what it was for. I made ribs and chicken wings. I knew it would come to me. But, yeah, I made ribs. Hot and fast. So, instead of, 5.5 hours that we would do typically, it took about 3. Basic salt and pepper rub. I wanted to just see. So here's the thing. If you're using a high sugar rub like this, Cosmos Q Honey Chipotle Killer Bee. Excellent rub. Number 1 ingredient is sugar. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But if you're going to cook hot and fast, that sugar is going to burn. At a certain temperature, sugar burns. Can't remember what it is. But I know needles up on a Gateway's 350 and it'll burn at 350. 275, 100 WSMs, sugar typically doesn't burn that much. But I didn't want to put any sugar because I just wanted to see how it was going to cook without burning the sugar. I did a great job. I was really impressed with it. It's a pain in the ass to clean, but maybe that's just on me. Yeah, what else we got going on? Not a whole lot. Like I said earlier, new job. Job's better, pays more. I don't know if it's better. Pays more. Half day Fridays in the summer. Yeah. What else we got going on? Just looking at my notes, trying to see what we got going on. Weekly inspiration. I was thinking about this before I started recording. I'm trying to think of someone who's good, who's inspired me lately. I can't think. Might have to go with the boss, Big Tasty Inc. So if you're done listening about food, this last little part's not going to be about food. It's just going to be about Twitter. At Big Tasty Inc. on Twitter. Started following him just about a year ago, I think. And so I just got a text message from Janice. We're trying to figure out the Supper Challenge theme for next weekend. So that'll drop it right as soon as this podcast drops. Big Tasty Inc. Kind of started a movement. And it's not a racist group. Just to get that out of the way real quick. It's not racist. It's not misogynistic. There's love for everyone in there. I don't know how. And it's not a large group. But there's some haters out there who are like, oh, I think it's a racist group. Like the Proud Boys. And I'm like, I hope not. Anyways. Started this thing up and it's kind of gained steam. It's called the Cheapies. And that's kind of how I started this podcast. So he's going to be the inspiration this week. Started off, he wanted 300 followers. And he's funny. It's fun time. Started calling his followers Cheapies. Started making merch. Slowly. Like Mr. 300. I wish I could remember his actual handle. But his name's Mr. 300 now. He wanted 300 followers, and 300 was a big deal. And then it was 500. But that's one of those things. It's like a snowball. He got 300, 500 came shortly after, and now it's like 1,800. But it's based on positivity. Try not to be negative. Twitter can be a real negative hate space. It can be doom scrolling. It can be a lot of stuff, especially politics lately, news lately, COVID stuff lately. There's a lot of arguing. But the Cheapies as a group, I'm First Shirt Hall of Fame, Cheapie. I was actually the first cheapie of the week. Not that I'm bragging, humble brag, whatever. But it's a positive space. There's a lot of positivity around it. You know, there's no holding people down. There's no holding anyone back saying, yes, no, 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 no. So it's a positive space, which is rare on Twitter. It's slowly grown and grown and grown. And kind of one of the big things is people cheat about Cheapies, hashtag Cheapies, Friday Cheapies, and stuff like that. And then how you get more Cheapies in is someone says, what's a Cheapie? And once someone says, what's a Cheapie, people post that and then says, let them know, boys. And it's, I love you. Thanks. You're a Cheapie. Always been a Cheapie. Stuff like that. Just real positive stuff. I've had more positive interaction with the Cheapies on Twitter. I've been on Twitter for, I think, 11 years. More positive interaction in the last year than I had in the first 10. So that might be my fault. I get on there and talk shit about basketball. So that might be on me, but yeah, it's not a hate group. I don't know why people think that. I think me bringing it up are going to make people like, are you a part of a hate group? It is absolutely not a hate group. It's a love group. It's all positivity. And Big Tasty Inc. is the headliner. The Bosco. I've gotten to know quite a few guys on there pretty well. Send messages. Clubhouse, if you guys have been on Clubhouse. We've been on Clubhouse a couple times. I get to send one guy a wedding present. You get to know some guys. But Big Tasty keeps himself mysterious. And I like that. So I purposely haven't reached out to Anthony. Anthony's his real name. Anthony any more than I need to. As opposed to some of the other guys. You know, my first podcast that had guests was 2 or 3 fellow Cheapies. Yeah, just a handful of great people. There's ladies in there too. It's not all men. But it's centered around positivity. So if you didn't know what Cheapies is before, you know now, kind of. If you listen to this and someone says, what's a Cheapie? Point them this way. Episode 9, Dish Up Podcast. Yeah. I think that's it for me today. Hopefully we'll get one out again next week. Still working on some guests. Part of it's my fault. Part of it's other people's faults. I'm not placing blame. But if I don't have a guest in the next 2 weeks, then I'll tell you who it is to blame. But that's it for me. You can find me, Kent Hansen, Kent Hansen81 on Instagram, Kent Hansen on Twitter, YouTube, I guess. This is going to be up on YouTube, video content. At Kent Hansen, I think, on YouTube. Yeah, we got video. You just look at my face. Looking to expand our YouTube offerings. Right now, it's just my face. I've done a couple of sauce reveals, rub reveals, knife reveal, unboxing. Unboxed some hot sauce. Unboxed the knife. Next weekend, next Saturday, new fridge comes. We'll do an unboxing of the fridge. It's going to be a big unboxing. Yeah, so, looking to add some more content on YouTube. I'd like to start doing some cook-alongs. That's the plan. But the kitchen's not really set up for video. So I'm thinking about getting like a couple hot plates or something and doing like some cook-alongs down here in the podcast studio. Just see how it works out. But truth be told, this podcast studio is our spare bedroom. So I don't want to be like sauteing onions and garlic and make this room stink, and then someone's got to come stay here when people are allowed to. So yeah, so we'll figure that out in the future. Once it's nicer out. Once I got a handle on this new job. I think I do now, but it's just that the hours, just, adjusting hours of being awake and being asleep. It's 8:55 and I probably have to go to bed in 5 minutes. So yeah. Signing off, and we'll talk to you guys next time.